Today, I need you to embrace what comes hard. Today, I need you to accept the challenge. Today, I need you to fall in love with the process. There will be plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, to lose your passion, and to think that it's not meant to be. But if you're going to reach your destiny, you have to have a made-up mind. If you give up after the first time, the 5th time, or the 30th time, what that really means is you didn't want it bad enough. There should be something you're believing in that makes you relentless. You are not moved by how impossible it looks. You're not discouraged by how long it's taken. You don't give up because people told you to. No. Your attitude is, if I have to believe my whole life, I am not going to stop believing. I am not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I'm going to keep pursuing what's in my heart and ask myself, what do I really want? What do I really want? Write it down. Writing causes thinking. Thinking creates an image. And when you get these images going, you're building a vision in your mind. It's the visionaries that change the world. Think of them. But what keeps that competitive edge? What keeps you on top is the ability to think and prepare mentally over and over and over again. The body has limitations. The mind does not. We focus so much on what goes on from the neck down that we forget. It all starts from here. Everything starts from here. If you're not mentally ready, you're never really physically prepared. And that's where the preparation starts. What would your life be like as you look toward the future if you decide, I'm not going to allow my fears to stop me? And I'm saying to you, whatever you gotta do it. Because if you don't, life is gonna whoop you until you surrender. So when you're young and you make mistakes, don't let them eat you up, because everybody that made it made them. You've got to fail in order to win. Hey, look, man, to understand how to hit the game-winning shot, you've got to miss the game-winning shot. You know, you've got to be tough because the road to success is always under construction. It's never a clear path to success. The people who become successful are the ones with a relentless attitude. You just have to hang in there through the bad breaks because the bad breaks are coming. But they usually come right before the big break is about to happen. You get a series of bad breaks and it stumbles up a lot of people. My life and my success is to say to anyone, you can stumble, you can fall, but you can get back up again. No matter what you face, no matter how bad it is going to be, when there is a challenge, and by a challenge, I mean anything in life, anything that you're facing, the only way to overcome the challenges is to start walking. Take that step every day, no matter what you are facing. Get up and start walking. I have the ability to see the end before the beginning even begins. And what that means is I know that to get to the very end, I can see it right now. So before I went to Bud S, and I was losing all the weight, I saw myself walking across the stage at 191 pounds. That's what I had to get into the door. I saw myself 6 months, a year, however long it was going to take me to do it. I saw myself walking across that stage, getting that certificate of graduation from Bud S, and I was able to be there at 300 pounds. And that feeling, even though I was nowhere near that feeling, I was able to put myself there 1,000,000 times every day. And that feeling of like, my God, that is going to feel amazing. That's what made me suffer. That's what allowed the pain to be real and say, this is worth it. I wanted to feel it for the next 18 months. It took me 18 months to finally become a Navy SEAL. To finally just get through Bud S, it took me 18 months. It's 6 months, but it took me 18. That's what woke me up every morning. I'm going to put myself through this much pain and suffering for a few seconds. That's all it is, a few seconds of joy. It's so worth it, man, and people don't get that. So I'm able to put myself at the finish line even when I have no finish line. But at the finish line of an event, before I even start, I say, how are you going to feel at the end of this? Visualizing is my biggest tool in life. That's why I've been able to put myself in cold water, put myself in a 100-mile race millions of times before I've done it, and I'm able to go through the race and see how I'm going to feel at the end. My 50, almost to the exact feeling, right? So when it comes up, it's no surprise, no surprise. I've already done this many times. I recommended the last time I was here, the little book, The Richest Man in Babylon. And I said I've lectured now to over 3 million people. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. This little book. Number 1, it's easy to find. Number 2, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it is $6, $7, or $8. You can borrow that from your kids. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do, and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do. We don't know the mystery of that. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, those numbers will still be the same. The numbers don't change. Only the faces change. I used to belong to the 90% who couldn't be bothered, even if it was easy. How many people have a library card? Answer, 3%. 97% couldn't be bothered. A guy specializes in happy hour, but he doesn't have a card and now readily and quickly claims the government, blames his company, and blames the pay scale. Here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't go where they go. Don't act like they act. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame list they cling to. You've got to be consciously conscious today because your environment can hypnotize, mesmerize, and paralyze you. The other thing is to take full responsibility for your life. Oscar Wilde once said, "Responsibility is what we expect from somebody else." This is very true. Most people dread accepting responsibility. That's just a fact of life, and we can see it in operation every day. We can see ourselves getting hot under the collar when the dentist keeps us waiting and we're sitting there, reading old magazines when our appointment was 30 minutes ago. And we don't stop to think that we forgot to mail in this month's mortgage payment. We can see ourselves growing angrier and angrier because the business contact is supposed to call at noon, and here it is almost 2 o'clock and the phone still refuses to ring. But we don't stop to think about the call we ourselves have forgotten to return while we've been so busy fuming. We can see ourselves writing an angry letter to the airline because a flight was delayed, but we don't write an angry letter to ourselves when we're late for something, even though that might not be a bad idea at all. There was a much more important factor at work, something that no one has found a way to express in numbers and decimal points. Simply put, Bill Russell was a player who wanted to take responsibility for the success or failure of his team. He wanted the weight on his shoulders in a situation like this. No possibility for excuses, no possibility of blaming anyone else if the game was lost, no second guessing. Bill Russell wanted the ball in his own hands and nobody else's. And like magic, even if he'd missed every free throw he'd ever shot in his life before this, he knew he was going to make this one. And that is exactly what happened. That is what virtually always happens when a man or woman accepts responsibility eagerly and with confidence.